Welcome back to the BB-Scho, ladies and gentlemen. As always, I'm your host, Beebs. I'm here with my favorite co-host, Chen. We're here for our Week 13 NFL reactions, and I'm just going to kick it right off. We're going to go through we got the Fantasy Frenzy recap today. We're going to react to all the games, and then potentially, we'll break it down for some more debate, some just kind of MVP talk for the NFL. So, what are you doing, bro?
I just saw a bombshell. Jimmy G's out for the year, but
Oh,
we can,
live
yeah,
reaction to that. Oh
broke
my
his broke
god.
his foot. So if Brock Purdy's the guy, which I don't
Oh
think he
my
is, we'll see.
gosh.
Uh,
Niners
but
injury bug
no,
extends
you said
another season.
oh, jeez, yeah. I mean, we'll definitely delve into that one because we still ended up winning with them against I would consider a very top AFC opponent. But I'm gonna dive into the Bills Patriots right away,
Yeah,
right?
we can
I
do
mean,
that. We can do that.
obviously, I missed that pick. Their only touchdown came from a guy on defense, like it was Troy Brown back in the day. This wasn't. I mean, in terms of my pick, it was surprising, right? Like I thought the Patriots were gonna do something. Ultimately, I think this kind of solidifies Patriots. I really don't think they're getting the playoffs. I know the Jets lost today. I know the Dolphins lost today, but both of those teams looked, I think, far and away better than the Patriots have. Not only most of the year, but definitely this week. Um, and
I
yeah,
think I
I
think
mean,
it's time to end this Matt Patricia experiment here.
oh, he's not good. He's just not good.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm 99% sure I'm right. He was a defensive coordinator on their last Super Bowl team, right?
Right, and then for some reason they decided to
He
make him an offensive
just
guy.
switched to offense for no reason.
For some reason. He went to Detroit. They're like, he can do both. They thought
That's
he's going to be
not
their
how
Belichick.
coaching
That
works, man.
no,
That's it.
no, no,
You
no,
are
no.
one or the other. Except, I mean, obviously there are exceptions, but like
There is, and you can gain insight from both sides. But like
at that
Matt
level
Patricia
is
as
what
a
I'm saying.
coach,
You don't just
yeah, no,
switch, just make the switch one year to the next from a D coordinator to an O coordinator. You might say, "Oh, I'll take an offensive assistant job," and then work your way.
okay,
And there's guys in college who switch back and forth all the time. Like the college coaching tree is insane. But yeah, you don't just
right.
randomly just decide one day, oh yeah, you know what, I'm gonna be an O coordinator tomorrow. And I'm gonna, take Mac Jones, who probably needs a good offensive coordinator, who has no weapons around him, who needs to scheme people open. I'm gonna take him to the promised land. That's not how that works, man. I
No,
hate to.
especially when Patricia really got his name from, like you mentioned, being a defensive guy, but being a defensive guy under Bill Belichick. Like, I'm sorry. Like, he's already getting kind of a free pass to be a defensive coordinator for a lot of teams. I mean, realistically. And so for him to just kind of make the transition because he went and coached Detroit as a head coach, apparently he can do all now, offense and defense. Yeah, I've never liked the way the Patriots since really Brady left even when they had McDaniels, I mean, Mac Jones had a somewhat, no, we'll say it. He had a good rookie year, but in terms of overall quarterback, we'll say it's somewhat decent. Um,
I
at
still
the
think he's
moment,
an average quarterback. I
oh,
don't
I
think
would
he's
agree. I
below
just
at
think
like
actually at this point, this play calling is hurting him, and the fact they really don't have any. What explosive weapon do I have? I mean, Jacoby Myers, Nelson Aguilar, and Devontae Parker. We'll
no,
take
his
Jacoby
explosive
Myers out of it. Those
his
two dudes,
explosive
Devontae Parker and
weapon is from
Aguilar, are
Andre
like,
Stevenson.
yeah, and that's problematic. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure they got him in the bottom half of the draft, not the top. And when you're already looking that far down, that's a problem. Damian Harris is I don't want to say co-star in Alabama, but they both went there, and Damian Harris being a running back. You
no,
think
and
it'd be
I'm pretty
some
sure the
chemistry,
Patriots
but
didn't they spend like the most money this offseason that
they
Belichick has
spent a lot of
ever
money in both
spent.
their tight ends. I don't know if it was this year or 2 years ago,
I'm pretty
but
sure this
Hunter
past
Henry and Jonnu
offseason,
Smith both have been, in
yeah,
my opinion, like expectation wise, stunk. Jonnu Smith especially, but Hunter Henry, like with the Chargers, there was always this idea of him being like a boom candidate, like could be an ultra receiving tight end. And both those guys have just been very pedestrian. And with a team that's been great with Gronk and Aaron Hernandez now, both of those guys, and we're taking off the field out of it. Aaron Hernandez and Gronk were a great combo. Like that team was
Yeah.
good. Um, it's not anything close with Hunter Henry and John Smith.
I just gotta be honest. I don't see the vision here with the Patriots. I'm not saying they can't win with Mac Jones because I actually don't dislike him.
But
I
what's
think
their
they can win.
identity? Can you at least like, tell me this? What is the Patriots' identity right now?
Well, that's where
They
I'm
just seem
getting.
like
That's where I'm
just
getting is
so
they don't.
mid.
Here's the problem: is their identity rides in their all-time great head coach, and
Right.
their defensive. They're a solid defensive team. They always have been under Belichick because he's a defensive mastermind. But the problem is in the long-term vision is what I'm referring to that I don't see is I think they could win with Mac Jones. And maybe some guys take the leaps, right? Later, look at Tua, right? Like sometimes it takes more time, and Mac Jones has shown enough promise to ride him out. But the problem the vision I don't see is Belichick's like what, like 71 years old, 70 years old. Like realistically, how much longer is he going to coach before he throws in the towel? And I don't think they're going to
Yeah.
win in that time because they're just not in a position to gather assets to build a championship caliber roster at this point, unless they're going to somehow find a diamond wide receiver in the draft in the middle of the first round. They're not going to
Yeah.
do anything. And so they're not going to attract a free agent to come there because they don't have Tom Brady. They're not going to get like a Randy Moss situation, right? They don't have Tom Brady. They have Mac Jones. So, yeah, I just don't see the vision. I don't. They need to find weapons somewhere, and they're spending money on guys who are not weapons, like Devontae Parker and Nelson Aguilar. Like,
They don't see like a soft reboot. Like it's weird that this team still finds himself in contention every year.
their defense is really good. I'm just
Right.
gonna
And
stand.
a lot of that I would think is schematics by Belichick. I mean, if you can
Yeah,
list off to me a Patriots, I mean, Devin McCourty is great, but I think he's like 37.
I think
I
Matthew.
mean,
He's not 37.
Judon's great.
Yeah,
What, 34?
I'm pretty sure
Let's
Judon
see,
leads the
34,
league in
35.
sacks, and that's just why
And
they're
that's
good.
great. Yeah.
They schemat. He's not Khalil Mack or a Bosa brother
No,
or a Watt brother, but
no.
he just schemes. They scheme this pass rush, and you know what? That's why they're 6-6. Otherwise, I think they'd look like the Bears or they'd look like the Packers. I mean, they'd be terrible. So
Right.
it is what it is. As for the Bills, I really like. Can we just all pump the brakes? I may be a little bit of a victim of this. I might not have said it, but let's pump the brakes on like, are the Bills okay? Like, dude, teams lose games, right? Nobody goes undefeated. Like, they're just not going to
No.
show up that week. And so, and we'll talk about this more when we get to the Bengals game, but Bills got 2 wins this week, in my mind, because they're now the first seed in the AFC. And if they're going to beat Kansas City, they're going to want to be in Buffalo, which they haven't had the opportunity to do. So,
Right.
big time win for them. I think they're solidified, especially with the Jets loss. They're going to take this division and Miami's loss. So, yeah, I don't have anything else to say.
I would say, yeah, relative to week, I mean, going in, it's like, yeah, you got to win on the Patriots, great. But like you said, the way the rest of this Sunday stacked out, Bills are huge winners
I
in
do still
terms of,
stand. I stand by the statement of the Bills are way too reliant on Josh Allen for success, but that doesn't deny the fact that Josh Allen is really freaking good, dude. So they're going to be successful.
yeah, and look, ultimately, they still have Stephon Diggs. Um, some of their other, like Dawson Knox, McKenzie, Gabe Davis, they're just kind of like, all right. A lot of people are making the argument that Josh Allen made them, and I think half of that's probably accurate.
Not Diggs, everybody else, but not Diggs.
Yeah, not Diggs. Everybody else I mentioned, Isaiah McKenzie, Gabe Davis, yeah.
It was good to see.
I
I'll say this because you would agree. Your number one concern with the Bills has been the rushing attack, correct?
I would say running backs in terms of, because here's the thing, in terms of what they do offensively, running, like they're actually really good ranking wise. It's
Because of
just
Josh Allen.
yes, and that I think is, you're
That's
not going to
my
want to run this
concern.
dude, even if you're at home. Your home is Buffalo, and when it's January and you're running at 20-degree temperatures with your franchise quarterback, and you're having this
Yeah,
dude power in for first downs, you might. Hey, even if you win a championship this year, power to Buffalo, they need it. but you're also sacrificing longevity of Josh Allen's career. So I think that's where some of that, conversation can be made that they brought in Naheem Hines. All right, but he's a receiving back. I'm not saying he's more of a receiver than a running back,
I think they brought him in
but
for special teams at this point. That seems apparent.
and that might be rightfully so. But then are we really going to say Devin Singletary is the guy that's I man, let
Well,
alone if he gets
let's look at the
15 characters. I don't want to harp too much on their entire because the running game works, but in terms of even the personnel, I feel like their offensive personnel has been very overrated. It's kind of Josh Allen, Diggs, and everybody else. And I think a lot of that is good schemes. I think it's having two of the better players at both of their respective positions in the league. I think that creates some opportunity for the running game. Is that fear of Diggs and Allen launching at 70, 80 yards. I'd like to see Singletary. I would like to see Singletary and Hines, and they kind of get things going.
Well, you're forgetting they invested that second rounder to James Cook, who I would argue had his best game yet. And
he's getting more touches, which I like. I think
that's what I like the most. He had 14 carries for 60 yards, and then he had another 6 catches for 40 yards. So over 100,
which is good.
Yards.
I think he should be that lead guy, though. I know I say it's early. I just think he's shown not was he bigger than Devin Singletary and more explosive. He can catch it. So it's like, are you really just sticking to Singletary because he's been the most known, most reliable running back in that room the past couple of years? And that's okay, but I think the Bills might have that really is the right. You just misutilized James Cook in the beginning of the season.
He still is only a second-year player, a rookie year. Is he a rookie this year?
He's on his rookie year. Yeah, James Cook, he came in the draft. I really think a guy like that, you get him kind of going early, and then especially at this point, that he can do it all for you. He's going to be a similar Dalvin Cook product. Both of them are brothers. Try it. You know what I mean? Try it earlier than they get like 4 or 5 more games in here, so it might all work itself out. But when people come to concerns with the Bills rushing game, I don't think it's in terms of their overall numbers. They can run the ball as a football team.
It's just concerns that they're too reliant on Josh Allen.
Yeah, that the fact that more yards coming from Josh Allen. But hey, they won the game. Solid division win, and I think right now they're either slotted at the first seed or tied for it. So
they got the number 1 seed. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the Chiefs game. But all right, let's pivot to the noon window, and we can kick it off with some irrelevant teams, in my opinion. But you will disagree. Bears Packers.
I would disagree. I think it's relevant because the Packers are my team, but in terms of relevancy to the playoff picture, yeah, both irrelevant. And no, you can speak more on this.
I don't really have much to say. I mean, the Packers fourth quarter comeback, Rodgers. I don't know. Christian Watson's good. That's my biggest takeaway here is he's really good when he's healthy. So as long as he stays healthy, they might have hit on this pick.
Man, I'm just gonna keep it a buck. This would have been cool to see if we were winning games before this. Congratulations, Raj. Congratulations, Packers. You came alive and beat the Bears, and now we're 5-8.
The Bears who arguably wanted to.
Well done. Yeah, you just helped this team not only get a better pick, they got a better pick in spite of us. Like, they just moved up closer to a better player, and we moved back. I understand I picked them win. I'm glad I got it. But when this game first started watching it, I'm like, all right, can the Bears just run away with this? Like, I don't want it death by 1,000 cuts. I'd rather the Bears just beat us. We lose, go home, get a better pick. But we ended up winning it, which, again, was cool. It's nice to see Christian Watson develop, yada, yada, yada. But now we extend this conversation that Rodgers might mathematically, I again, don't know the mathematics of it. Got to see how it looks. But he probably has a shot at starting next week because we're not completely eliminated.
No, Rodgers is starting all of next year. What are you talking about?
Okay, next year again, that's fine. But I would like to see Jordan Love.
Why? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because he's not going to play for the Packers next year because Aaron Rodgers.
But we got to see what we got. we gotta see what we got. We gotta
I
see in the
I,
sense
I don't
that,
disagree, but there's no logic behind
and
doing
and furthermore, like if we're gonna use this guy next year, why risk a heavy injury? Why risk a brutal torn ACL and a broken collarbone, some
that.
freak thing?
Okay.
Like I don't like the idea of
Mathematically,
all
they're
right,
still
we're
in the playoff picture. If you want to have that
yeah at
conversation.
5-8. I mean, if we really scrape in and get a 9-8 wild
Well,
card
with
at
the with
7,
Jimmy G
I'd
out
love
for the
it.
year, I mean, it's a different conversation.
Is it the and we'll
They're
get to
dropped
that
out of the
too. We're
picture
gonna
now, in my opinion.
we can get to that, later on. But um ultimately, Packers think they got a couple somewhat challenging games left. I know the Vikings are in there. Even if it's like 8-9, we're gonna end in this spot. We're not gonna get a crazy great guy.
Oh, Packers are
We're
going to
not
end up
gonna
in the
and we're not
worst
gonna
possible.
know. Yeah, we're not gonna know what Jordan Love is. Like I feel like in terms of seasons, there's a lot of teams that lost the season. I think the Broncos are front runners. I don't know if anyone's gonna catch up. But in terms of what
Yeah,
what the Packers have done, what have we accomplished this season? We're not only
absolutely
in
nothing.
salary cap just torture right now. We have a terrible love Aaron Jones, but we just paid a running back for a team that not only needs a salary cap to rebuild defensively, but even some things offensively. A guy next to Christian Watson would be nice. Consistency at the O line position would be nice. Um, I, this was probably the least satisfying Bears win I've ever witnessed. Quite honestly, maybe it was part of my mood just getting sour because we started off bad. But like looking at this just completely objectively non-biased, this does nothing for us. It just sets us back farther in the draft. Even if like I'm a real I was say realistic Packer fan. That's a lie. I'm an
Yeah, that would be
optimistic
me.
one. But I'm at the point where even as an optimist, we could win out and still not make playoffs. It's
Yep.
really realistic. We won't.
I mean, it goes Rams,
So
Dolphins, Vikings, Lions.
yeah, Dolphins and Vikings, I hate. I don't like that we got to play that. I don't think we beat both those teams. Lions at this point, you saw them what they did today. It's just not good, man. It's really like I would just wish we could start for next season. I wish we could just get on that train already because there's a lot that needs to get done. And on the flip side of this, the Bears, they got a better pick. Fields, I understand he had the two picks today, but I know it's such a subjective, but outside of that, he was extremely efficient, not only through the air, but on the ground. Um, yeah, they lost at home. Yeah, for the Bears, it doesn't look good, but from my knowledge, they're not playing for this season anyway. That's what the Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn trades told me. They got $100+ million in cap. This team is going to look a lot different next year, and we'll see what that Bears roster does. But that's what my concern is with the Packers. We're not going to look different next year. Going into this, hoping we can run it back with a different DC and we're going to be better. All right. I hope so. I really do. I hope Christian Watson's development, just outweighs the rest of our team getting older. But I don't know if you have any more thoughts. We can move
No,
on to my Packers
I
depresso,
have
espresso talk.
no words for either of those two teams that mean anything. It's just not. It's becoming a waste of time. We're at the point of the season where games are not mattering, and that was one of them.
Yeah,
Kind of a similar boat, but we both did take the Steelers to beat the Falcons this weekend, and they squeaked it out. I was really mad. I had Mariota over 13 and a half completions as my last leg, and he had 13, so that stinks. But
nice.
yeah, Steelers kind of with an ugly win. I think they've won 3 out of the last 4.
That's what
They're,
they do. They win ugly. They don't have
I,
good reason to win, you know?
I'm starting to like Kenny Pickett a little bit here. He's not doing anything crazy, but it's just like maybe I don't like Kenny Pickett. Maybe I like Mike Tomlin. Maybe that's the answer here. And T.J. Watt, I guess. But yeah, Najee Harris is coming on. He averaged 5 yards a carry today. I really don't have much else to add other than just disappointing to see how far the Falcons have fallen.
Yeah, this is kind of what we expected from the Falcons beginning of the year. For them to kind of hit this point
Yeah,
now was weird. And it's, of course, just makes things so much easier for Brady. Because obviously the Panthers are not in this. and Saints will see them tomorrow night, but I don't think are realistically in this either. And so the
I would
Buccaneers
concur.
realistically can make this at 8-9, even 7-10 the way the rest of the division is playing. There's kind of like a no reason the Buccaneers won't make it in, which is crazy. It's just crazy. But good for the Steelers. I don't know if their draft position it's probably gonna be a little bit affected by this, but they were pretty bottom of the barrel last time I checked.
Up to 5 and
Still should be
7.
sitting top five.
So
Wow. Okay. So they might actually win themselves out of the top 10, which again,
well,
as a
they got to
fan, I
keep
think that's
Tomlin's
going to
streak.
become,
They got to keep Tomlin's streak going.
yeah, 9-8 for them actually seems pretty realistic. 4-1. I don't know what they got rest on their schedule, but the way they've been playing, we'll see. I
Yeah,
mean, honestly, we'll see. I just think a lot of these teams, it comes to the point where, as a fan, how really happy are you with these wins? As
yeah,
Packers fan, I'm not that crazy happy. I know Steelers are probably like, great, we beat the Falcons. Like it just doesn't do anything.
yeah.
Glad we
I would,
getting these
I
out of
would
the
agree.
way, but oh
Let's
man,
uh let's pivot to some teams that are actually in the playoff picture here.
yeah.
My favorite game of the day, Jets almost went into Minnesota and pulled off a crazy last second upset. Mike White, 31 of 57, which we can talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
369, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Greg Zerline had 5 field goals today. And that was kind of the story of the game. My biggest takeaway, I'm just not I'm not all in on the Vikings, man. I just
I'm never
question
gonna be
that
all in.
defense, man.
I'm never not. Um, you don't think from like the well, there's two things I kind of want to. You can answer them one at a time. One, our whole beef with the Vikings, not only this year but the past couple of years, is like they don't finish close games, they don't win.
Which is what
They
they're
have
doing this year. They're doing
Right. They're
what they're
doing
trying to
what
do.
they haven't been able to do for years this year. So I can't take that away from them. But even from the Jets aspect, right? They lost this game by 5 points, but they went into a lot of people arguing outside of the Eagles, the top NFC contender. And like they had them on the ropes. They really could have got it done. And this is, I think, the second week now of Mike White.
Yeah.
And we still got a couple more weeks to go. Like I really think by playoff time, the dude they're comfortable giving him 57 attempts. That
No,
is
I mean game script plays a little bit, but
uh,
still to get close
no,
to 50
let's
is
not
ridiculous.
say he was 0-2 with 2 picks. He had the one on the ground, right? He had the rush touchdown. So
Well, I mean, if you're
we'll
going to throw the ball 57 times, you're going to throw interceptions. Like it's just
right,
that's bound to
right.
happen. Like
So I don't think
that's
2 is that bad. I don't think it's
well, you'd like to. The bigger problem here is that they couldn't get the ball in the end zone. They kicked 5 field goals. Okay, I mean it's not like
right.
they weren't moving the ball. He had 370 yards passing, and Zonovan Knight had 90 on the ground on 15
Yeah.
running
Oh,
a
that is
ton of
kind of wild.
plays. So it's not like
Very
they weren't moving the
wild.
ball. It's look, credit to Minnesota for being able to close out close games, which is the number one thing you want when you're looking for a team that can go all the way. But yeah, the defense is really concerning to me. I just when they play a team like the Eagles, who's going to capitalize on mistakes and going to finish drives, when they play, and you know, I don't want to say the Bucks, but when they play just a team like the Eagles, I don't know, because now the Niners aren't. When they play a good team, and not that the Jets aren't, but they play an above-average contender, which I don't think the Jets are. Uh, the defense is going to catch up to them. That's kind of where I'm going with this. And look, I like this Vikings team. They're fun to watch, but I just don't think they have the legs. And people are going to disagree with me. I don't care. I just don't think they have the legs.
Hmm.
They're not beating good teams. The Jets are what? I mean, let's look at the Vikings schedule. Actually, let's look at who they beat. I mean, it's hard for me to look at it.
Well, that's the problem. Like we can do that. Like the Cowboys was kind of the anomaly, but like they beat the Bills, who like a lot of people at this
They didn't beat
now
the
they point
Bills.
to.
The Bills lost the game. Let's also remember that.
That's fair, but it was in Buffalo. Like if the Vikings are hanging in there, trust me, I don't want to advocate for the Vikings. I hate that I'm even doing it, but they're
I'm not
there.
saying the
They're like
Vikings aren't a
right
Super Bowl
there.
contender either. I just don't see them getting over the hump and beating Philly or beating Dallas. I think that they just cannot. I just do not see them beating those
No,
NFC.
I don't think they beat an AFC team in the Super Bowl. I personally, if an AFC winner is not crowned, I will be shocked. That is my takeaway. After
I
watching that
think. I
Eagles
think.
Bengals Chiefs game today, I really don't think it's
Yeah,
gonna be
you
an
know what?
NFC winner.
I could get behind that. The only team I could see is Dallas. Honestly, we'll talk about
But
Philly.
it's
Actually,
Dallas.
yeah, but it's Dallas. Exactly. I was getting there. So,
It's the Cowboys
um,
curse. That's what they do.
yeah, let's pivot. Let's pivot. Let's talk about the Philly then, because this was a game I was way off on. Way off. I thought the Titans were going to be able to run the ball down their throats. And Derrick Henry had 11 carries for 30 yards today.
Mm-hmm.
Safe to say that the Titans are missing AJ Brown a little bit here.
Yeah, considering what he did to them, I would have to concur. I guess my thing is, what does this say about the Titans? Like what the Eagles did today. Let's just no way to
Have
put
the
it.
Titans
They
lost three
keyed
straight?
in.
They
I
were
believe they
7-2,
played the
right?
I believe they played the Packers 3 weeks ago. That's why I'm kind of balking on this. I'm pretty sure they
Or
might
is
have
it
lost
three out
two
of
straight.
four? Yeah,
Maybe, but like in
okay, so
terms
they've
of what
lost two straight. They've lost two straight. Never
yeah,
mind.
like what the Titans do, they just pound the rock, and the Packers are like completely incapable of doing that. Like teams that might be bad against the run, but like this is I guess what I'm trying to say. There's teams that are capable of stopping the run, and teams that are just can't do it. Like you can be bad against stopping the run, but if you know it's the only thing the team's gonna do, they can do it. Packers like weren't capable. I think there's other teams that like they just don't have personnel to
Well, I
do
think
it.
that's why
The
Derrick
Eagles have
Henry.
huge
That's why
like
the Titans are not the 12-win team that they were before, because they don't have AJ Brown as that threat on the outside where it's like, okay, we can't put
yeah,
8 guys in the box because this guy's going to torch any guy we have. And so while Treylon
right.
Burks, he did get hurt today, has started to emerge. So I mean, I hope he's okay, but he's not there yet. He could be there next year, or the year after that. Like I'm not saying the prospect. I think he's a really good prospect, but he's not there yet. And so
Yeah.
uh, on the flip side of it, the Eagles really answered all the questions I had about them. You know what? I'll go as far to issue an apology to the Philadelphia
Huh.
Eagles. I was out on the Eagles. Okay.
Wow. What? Yeah, I didn't gather that, but really.
I mean, obviously they're an NFC favorite, but I was really convinced that their front seven is just not enough. And they answered the call, man. They answered the call against the league's best rushing attack. And so I don't know if that's statistically true this year, but you get what I'm saying. And
No, it's a team that relies heavily on it, and I say play devil's advocate, but I think game flow dictated a lot of this. Like if to my knowledge, the Eagles got like 2 touchdowns early,
but it's a team
like
game, man.
very early.
It's a team game, man.
It
If
is.
they
It
came out
is.
like that, and I know it's an AJ Brown revenge game, but I'm pretty sure Devonta Smith had like 15 fantasy points in the first 3 minutes of the game, right?
Right. Right.
And anytime any offense is going to go with their quarterback going 29 for 39 with 380 and 3 touchdowns and no interceptions, and they've got 2 receivers over 100 yards.
Yeah.
That's a problem. And I'm not all in on the Eagles because I agree. I don't think that they could beat an AFC team. But when it comes to the rest of the NFC, especially with the Niners out of the picture now, it's really between the Eagles and the Cowboys in my mind. That's it.
Mm. Yeah, we'll see. Kind of some 49ers. I got some things to say.
All
For
right.
sure. I'll have some things to say. We can move it on. We can move it
All
on
right.
because I think there's
So
just
here's
a
one
lot
I'm
today,
interested to
man. There's a
hear.
lot.
Yeah, we got a couple. So like we were 11 different games picked differently, and we're both 8-5 going into Sunday night. So I was wrong about the Titans and the Jets. You were wrong about the Jaguars.
Which I mean, it's Jags, right?
Hey,
Like they
Lions, what 3 out of 4 now?
yeah, and man, 40-14 I didn't see.
Yeah,
The Lions
it's
winning didn't like. I was like, yeah, okay. I was really taking a flyer that the Jags kind of turned a corner here. But just the fashion it happened. The Jags are just for the just really the most part just uninspiring. It's kind of the right word. Jared Goff, I feel like is quietly. I'd have to check the numbers, but even if he's not having a career year, like he's shown himself to be reliable at the position.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
we've had this talk. I don't think the
yeah,
Lions need to draft a quarterback.
I think it would only just kind of set back what they're definitely trying to do next year. You know,
Yeah,
if it's a crazy good guy that helps them later on, I definitely think they'd be taking a step back next year if they burn a high pick because they get the Rams pick as well. And I actually think at this point, the Rams pick might turn out to be closer up than their own.
yeah.
So I just don't really think it's necessary. And man, we didn't see Jameson Williams really a whole lot at all today. But seeing Amon-Ra St. Brown have a not career day, but I mean 100 something yards, 2 touchdowns. Chark had almost 100-yard day. You throw Jameson Williams in the mix with the two-headed monster, Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift. It kind of sucks they traded Hawkinson, man. It really did. Because if they just improve this offensive line, if your worst position is
Oh no,
quarterback and
they don't need to
Goff is
improve
going
their.
for,
I don't think they need to improve their O line. I think their O line is one of the best in the league.
I think it is real. But like, what else are we even adding at this
Their
point?
defense.
And that's cool. And that's cool. But
I know they only gave up
I
14 today, but
just,
like
oh,
that's still a problem.
I feel bad because like they finally, I feel like, are getting a roster and they're gonna face like like just quarterback questions because what it is. But
I think they're a
if
year away.
Goff is gonna give me 302 touchdowns,
Yeah, no
oh, I'm
interceptions.
just yeah, I gotta see the rest of this
Well,
year
I mean,
pans
look,
out, man.
Goff went to a Super Bowl. Like, let's not take that away.
I
You put a good
so did
defense,
Jimmy
good coach.
Garoppolo. So did
Those are he's a starting quarterback right now. So I mean,
he
I'm
is
not
he is.
disagreeing. I think that they're a year away from playoff contention, unless they're going to find a miraculous way to win out and maybe be in the picture. But I don't think they will. I don't know their
Right.
schedule. I think they're a year away from playoff contention. I think they roll with Jared Goff next year. They just go all in, spend all the money. They got a lot of cap space. They spend some money on some defensive players next year. Put a new defense out there. Keep the guys who've played well, Jaden or Jeff Okuda, the other kid, and then Aiden Hutchinson. Obviously, they have to roll with. And so you get some new pieces, play defense, play good defense next year. I think you're in the playoff picture, and now you're looking at a Niner situation, right? Oh, we have Jimmy G, we have Jared Goff. We're going to draft Trey Lance, though. Sit him a year. We have Alex Smith. We're going to draft the guy we want. We're going to make the moves. We have the assets to go get the guy we want. Maybe that's in this draft. Maybe they really love CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. Don't think they're going to be capable of getting that guy. So I think they
Yeah,
wait.
it's gonna
I
be a
think they
later
wait
guy.
for a better. They find the guy they want, and they go get him. They make the move. They go get him. They sit him for a year behind a guy who's been to a Super Bowl, has now had success with the Lions, started the turnaround, and then you have your guy. So the rush is not to get a quarterback in. Detroit's tendency is to do that. However, I don't think Dan Campbell's going to do that, and that's why I'm really starting to believe in the vision here because it was a 3-year vision way back when, and we're seeing improvement already from last year. Where they win last year like 4 games. Now they're 5-7. They won 3 of their last 4. They look good against some of the league's best teams. They just blew out Jacksonville, who was supposed to be really good, coming off their big win last week. They barely lost to the Bills. They're right there. The only thing that's missing is defense and just figuring out how to win the close games, kind of like Minnesota last year. So I think it's there.
The recipe is there. Uh, we can I don't have a whole lot to say about the Jags. Personally, this is
I think
a
uninspiring
team
is the right word.
I gotta see what they do next year. I think ultimately there's a lot of changes and whatnot. I'm
Oh, I don't
not
think
ready to make a
Lawrence.
firm consensus on the team yet.
I don't think Lawrence looked bad today either. They just you can't give up
It was
40
just mid,
points.
just mid.
Yeah,
Like
they're just missing. They're missing a little better O line and obviously a better defense. And you know, Lawrence, I think Lawrence, he's just inconsistent. That's the bottom line. You saw the high last week and 17 of 31 for 180 and a touchdown. Like,
It's just very
ah,
pedestrian.
I know he did go out with injury today too, right before the half. So
Yeah.
there is a little bit there, but um, we'll see. I agree. Jags are on hold till next year. That takes us to the Deshaun Watson revenge game in Houston, in which he looked horrible.
I was about to say it's more of like the defense decided we're gonna assert the revenge of Deshaun. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
Donovan Peoples Jones with the return touchdown.
pick
Not like Texas
six.
looked good either. I think honestly with
Wow,
Davis
what a
Mills, they
shocker.
crazy. Yeah, no shock there. But I mean, can you tell me if they start Davis Mills, will they lose the game?
I don't think they want to win the game, and that's why
I
they're
don't think they
not
want to,
starting
but
Davis
I think it really
Mills.
speaks on like you just gave Deshaun Watson a boatload of money for a guy who not only had some question marks because we haven't seen him playing a bit, but the off-field question marks on top of just the normal quarterback question marks you'd have. And we
I
can even go big. I'm not going to write it off
I'm
one
not
game.
writing off Deshaun
This is
Watson.
definitely a
The guy,
knee-jerk reaction, but
yeah.
I mean, we've seen how Kevin Stefanski runs his offense. It's run first. You're turning around, hanging the ball off. Deshaun Watson is capable of doing so. I would just like to see like a offense run by him, not Deshaun Watson, Kevin Stefanski, have a successful passer because we can see, even Baker Mayfield wasn't good there. He's not good with pants. Maybe it's just Baker Mayfield, but if Deshaun Watson's kind of like going to be middle of the pack, this mid
Well,
tier
I don't think we'll
guy
have an answer to that until the middle
next
of
year.
next season. Like,
Yeah, it's a Jaguars type of topic as well,
yeah, and you know what? They
unfortunately.
they got their guy. They're gonna have to give him some time, obviously. And look, Deshaun Watson, I'm not gonna hold today against him. He only threw the ball 22 times. He hasn't played in a year and a half or 700 days or whatever it was. So,
So
um,
crazy.
yeah,
No.
got the win. Cleveland, they're not in the hunt, but they're just floating right around 500 or 5-7. They're floating around mediocrity. Um, just another like we're getting to that point of the year where it's you know some of these games just really don't matter at all, and they're not worth
No.
talking about. One game that did matter that ended up in a tie. I had the Commanders, and I felt very strongly about Taylor Godeke, and he did deliver today.
He played
Uh,
well, yeah.
and you took the Giants, probably just, I mean, it's a safe pick. And now I don't even want to know what this mathematically means for the playoff picture. I really
Oh,
don't,
jeez.
because it's
That
it's
actually
gonna
probably
be
helped
a
both those
nightmare.
guys. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna lie. I really think after that game, the East might have locked themselves in because we saw what the Falcons did today. We saw what happened with the Niners. It's gonna be one team out of the West, and you got the North where it's gonna be the Vikings. So, as crazy as this sounds, it realistically is gonna be that entire division makes it.
I'm still not sold on the Giants, man. I'm really, they're really starting to phase out for me. They were 7-1, weren't they?
I don't know, but even like Seattle was literally on the same trajectory, and we're still kind of feeling the same way about Seattle. Like they're going to be contenders, and I think because the Giants aren't as flashy, like we both like the Commanders beat Philly. Like the Commanders have been
My
very
problem with the
solid as of late,
Giants
and they just tied.
my problem with the Giants comparative to say Seattle is Geno Smith is outplaying Daniel Jones by a mile, and Seattle has
Oh,
a
there's no
much better
question about that.
receiving
Yeah.
core. And while I just feel like a lot of what the Giants are trying to do goes through Saquon Barkley, similar to how you feel about Tennessee. And while Barkley's been great this year, he's going to have career high usage, and I just don't see it being sustainable into the playoffs and into Week 18. I don't, and with the way the division's shaking up, I don't see them. I think someone's going to catch them. Is what I'm getting at here. I think someone's going to catch them, and it's either going to be Seattle, it's either going to be Washington, or it's going to be somebody we have no
Washington
idea
doesn't
about.
need to though. That's I mean, like, I don't think like I really think all those teams are gonna make it. We'll see what Seattle does.
So
I
you
gotta
don't
see the
think
rest of their
Seattle?
schedule.
So you think Seattle's going to win the division and the Niners are out?
We I'm actually gonna I'm just gonna be like completely human moment here. I'm gonna have to get back to you with that on Thursday because I don't know. I don't think the 49ers are as bad off as people are gonna consider them after the Jimmy G injury, but I also am not confident that the Seahawks are going to just, especially in December here, where their defense is lacking and they're supposed to get some wins. Whereas the Giants, like defensively, is don't really know who's all on there besides like Leonard Williams, James Brett. Like they got just kind of a wish-wash group of guys, but they play stout. They play well. They got good schemes. It's kind of that old school. They're kind of like the Titans of the NFC. So I'm just honestly gonna have to get back to you on the terms of like, do I think this team? I think the East is in. I really think that entire division
Oh,
is going to make it.
that would mean that
I
Seattle is out,
I think there's
or one
right. It's
the
going to be
NFC
either
West
Seattle or the
team.
Niners. I think whoever wins that is going to get the division. I just don't think between the Niners and Seattle. If the Niners win the division, that means they're going to be in. Seattle's going to be kind of out. But if Seattle runs away with it, I'm assuming that the 49ers have a drastic drop off. And so that's why I'm kind of like wary on what to say about things from that nature. But I just gotta say it, like Saquon Barkley, I understand the usage problems. We've said the same thing about Derrick Henry and the Titans. They always find a way to
Derrick Henry doesn't have the injury history that Saquon has, and
not presently
in
no.
the past, the Titans have had AJ Brown, and now they don't. And we just talked about how we don't feel the same way because for that exact reason. Um, but I feel very strongly. I think the Giants are not making the playoffs. I'm going to keep riding that. I might end up being wrong.
Yeah.
And I might have to
We'll
issue an
see.
apology.
We'll see. Got a lot of couple
Couple
weeks here.
weeks,
Yeah.
but yeah. All right. That brings us to the last noon game, the worst football game I've ever watched. Only Russell Wilson could find a way to lose to. Let me check. Tyler Huntley.
Hey, he's pretty good.
No.
If I'm a Broncos fan, I'd rather have Huntley right now than Russ. But I mean, there's a lot of guys you probably have over Russ at this point. I don't really know how
There
to
might
take
be
that is.
31 guys I have over Russ right now. Maybe even more.
There is 31 guys I think I have over Russ. Yeah.
This guy is I've never seen. This is like watching a heist movie.
10-9. That was the final. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the number now? Is it like 10 of their games out of the 12? If they just
this team would be the number one
points?
seed. They would legit be the number one seed in the AFC if they just had like a not even like below average, maybe average for like the 70s offense. Like it's kind of criminally bad how much money the Broncos paid this dude, and he's just robbed them blind for a team that realistically could be competing. It is so hard to watch.
Nathaniel Hackett's out after the season.
He should be.
Okay.
But even with McDaniels, like the Raiders they got to win today. He probably extended his fact he'll get another season. And that's what I don't like. They're like, we'll give him one more year. When you kind of realize he's not the guy. And it's like, well, he had a 2-year tenure instead of one. Who cares? Like, if you know he's not the dude, if you don't what is 1 year going to change? If you're going to give him a couple more years, I get it. But no, I think
you
crazy.
When it comes to Josh McDaniels, you can make the case that they're finding their stride right now offensively, but
you can.
I still think he should be gone. It's for that exact reason. And then pivoting to the Chargers Raiders game because I don't have anything else to say about a 10-9.
Oh, a 10-9, yeah, with backups. Broncos still stink, and the Ravens hung in and beat it.
I've been saying this for a while. I think this was the nail in the coffin for Brandon Staley. I think he's gone, and they're not going to make the playoffs.
And it's like, we'll see. This is so classic Chargers.
Classic. Hey, they'll win next week.
They're going to finish 9-8 with some false optimism, and it's not going to be Brandon Staley's fault. It's going to be they had all these injured players, and so he's going to get another run at it.
He's not going to get another run.
If everybody's healthy, maybe they finish 10-7. Like this is the most
He's not going to get another run.
just
I think that they are finally getting enough flack from the media, and they're not getting the pure Justin Herbert hype that they're like, oh, we actually need some receivers that play game more than 5 games a year. And we need a coach who doesn't go for it on 4th and 2 on our own 20-yard line against the Browns and get bailed out by a
yeah.
missed kick. So, um, yeah, the only
I'd
guy,
hope.
the only guy. I mean, Keenan Allen will be back next year. Obviously, Herbert's back, but ideally, you want to contend when you have a quarterback like this is on his rookie contract. And I think he's got like 2 years left, and so the
No,
question
they've
is,
wasted way too many years already, in
yeah,
my opinion.
yeah, and so they're gonna have to make a splash in free agency at receiver or tight, some sort of offensive weapon. I think Eckler's obviously he'll stay, but Keenan Allen's not it, man. He's just not. Even when he's at his best, like he was today, it was his best game of the year, 6 for 88 and that crazy touchdown. He's not what Justin Jefferson brings to the table. And I know I'm going all the way to the top, but even down a notch, he's not what DK Metcalf brings to the table for you, right? Like,
Speed is important in today's NFL, and Keenan Allen got drafted in an era where it didn't matter as much. That's my takeaway. Route running is superb. His hands are all that's there, but like
well,
he's
I
not a
think
wide
if we were
receiver one
five
anymore.
years,
He's
if we
not.
were 5 years ago, Keenan Allen's first couple of years with Philip Rivers, yeah, he would be
Yeah.
a wide receiver one. And Keenan Allen's been awesome his entire career, but
Yeah, just not in 2022.
he's just too old. I think is my. You can't run him out there and be like,
Injuries age you a lot quicker as well.
yes, that is well said. That is well said. But yeah, my takeaway here is the Chargers aren't making the playoffs. The Raiders at 10-7, they actually could, but they'd have to win 5 more, and that's not going to happen, man. They are rolling
Nah.
though. They are rolling. I will give them credit, man. Josh Jacobs has like almost 400 yards rushing the last 2 weeks. Devontae had 8 for 177 and 2 touchdowns today. Like they're finally giving the ball to their best players. And so,
Crazy concept,
what a
man.
concept!
Who
But
knew?
yeah, they're gonna have to pay Josh Jacobs though because they didn't take that 5th-year option, which is going to be interesting.
That's a classic Raiders mistake.
Yeah, and then they're gonna have to pay a running
Shocking.
back, which they will because it's the Raiders, and then
Yep.
he's going to be terrible in 2 years once he gets his money. And yeah, that's how running backs usually
Gotta
go.
love that cycle.
All right, we're rolling through here, but you've mentioned it a couple times, and you know what? Before we go here, do we have anything to say about Seahawks Rams? I guess the Rams look better than I anticipated, but 367 and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's man. Nothing really to say about the Rams. It's more of this raises my questions about Seattle's defense more and more and more. And the more we get closer to the playoffs, they're playing these teams that are getting grooves offensively, running game. The Rams have nothing to provide in the running game, in my opinion. Cam Akers has been kind of off this team, half in, half out for a while, and they're still, keeping it close with John Walford. And we brought it up. It's not the offensive fault. It's not Geno Smith's fault, but something to take note of. That's really all I have to
Yeah,
say. Good for the Seahawks keeping it alive, but it's noteworthy. That's for sure.
yeah, and just I just at the start of the year when I said, and I know that Stafford and Cup are hurt, but when I said I didn't think the Rams were going to make the playoffs, I never thought it was going to be this bad, man. I never thought it was going to be 3-9, 13
Yeah,
weeks into the year. This is just
completely out of it is insane.
and
Yeah.
we've discussed how they don't have a pick for years, and they are screwed. They are like Sean McVay is like LeBron almost in this sense, where he just blows everything up and screws over a franchise. But hey, they got that one championship.
Yeah, this is really just a
And
matter of
so,
like what
so
do you
like, does
value?
it really comes down? You really start, and LeBron and Sean McVay are really causing me to ask that question. Like, if I was an owner, where would I rather be? Right? I got my championship, but I'm screwed. Like,
Yeah.
I'm screwed
Yeah.
for the next decade. Like, would I rather have a contending team for a decade and maybe win one championship, or win one championship and have to tank for 5 years? It's a very
Yeah.
interesting question that I actually don't know if I could answer. I don't know what I
Yeah.
prefer.
I'm not sure either. That's like a logistical
You know,
philosophy question almost, But we can dive into that another day because that ties in a lot of different sports. Um, was there any other afternoon
oh yeah.
games?
So you
There's
get
the Chiefs Bengals, right? That was the
well.
last one.
Let's wait on that one. We got Dolphins 49ers. You said yes.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That was very, very interesting. Lackluster performance by the Dolphins offense. They are able to get some things through the air, but like their running game, something they rely on to at least open up play concepts, was just not there. Tua showed a little bit of his just being young, playing against the top defense in the NFL. But ultimately, the 49ers showed me everything I feel like known is this is like one of the, I don't say a couple teams in the NFL because I think that list is very select, maybe even all time. They don't need a quarterback to win.
So
And that's,
you're looking at the Eagles right now. Are we looking at a Nick Foles situation in your mind?
well, that's the answer. Is Brock Purdy going to be that Nick Foles? I don't know if he's the guy, especially for a playoff run. A guy that young scares me. I'm wondering, and again, gonna have to do my due diligence for Thursday's episode. Who's available on that market, quarterback wise? They're gonna sign somebody to call up if he's gonna
Oh,
challenge
you
Purdy
know
or
who they
not.
should who I think they should call?
Who do you think?
Mr. Amazon Thursday Night Prime Fitz Magic.
That would be fantastic. I
I
think the struck by lightning Drew Brees if he wants to go out to Santa Clara. I think that would be fantastic.
He's not Drew
Um,
Brees is not coming out of retirement.
no, and that's the hardest part here.
Fitzpatrick might see it like
He might be, he might be the guy to do it. And I think that actually would bode well for them. I think he'd be smart enough to just run Shanahan's system. He's not in Buffalo trying to just force it to Stevie Johnson or Lee Evans. Like it's a totally different scheme they got going down there. So that's why I don't think it's somebody competent you need or competent. I think you need somebody that's confident, if that makes sense. Somebody that's just gonna, okay, Shannon called this. Let's just do it, run it. We got Debo, Christian McCaffrey. They got Kittle, like they got the weapons to make it happen. You just have a guy that's not gonna shoot you in the foot.
well, it's very clear
And I
that the
think
defense
a
is
young
best in
Brock
the
Purdy
NFL.
could do that. No, and the defense, they leave everything around them like almost perfect. Quite
It's like
honestly, like in
an
terms of
05, 06 Bears situation going on here.
yeah, even 2000 Ravens, like Jamal Lewis and that
Yeah.
amazing defense, like they have everything in place. It's just a matter of a guy that is going to go in there and not screw things up, but also keep it. And granted, to Brock Purdy's credit, he threw 2 touchdowns today. He had 2 interceptions, but those I believe both came in the second half. So it's going to be very
Just one
entertaining.
interception actually. It was two who had two.
Oh, okay, so I flipped that around, but either way, I don't think as a lot of people are just going to write him off. Like you kind of brought up earlier, yeah, the Seahawks are going to get it.
No, I
I
would
don't know if the
agree. It's
Seahawks are going to get it.
unfair to
I really
completely.
think they still beat the Dolphins today. Who like I was very high on. I thought honestly
I
they
think
might have
I
went in
would
there and got it
agree.
done.
I
But
would agree. I'll pump my brakes a little bit on writing completely off solely because their defense is that good. That I can agree with. Um, but in terms of like, are they going to beat the Eagles with Brock Purdy? That's where I start to say I'd be real. I mean, it would take a lot because at least with Nick Foles, it was like, oh, this guy is like a vet. He's been around. He had a really
right,
good year with the Eagles, right? Brock Purdy isn't. I mean, he's a rookie, right?
he's a rookie out of Iowa who's
Was he
even
Mr.
questionable at
Irrelevant?
times with Iowa. Yeah, he was. So that's why
That would be you know what? I'll root for it just for that story.
it's
If
a great
Mr.
story. It
Irrelevant shows
is.
up and wins a Super Bowl in his rookie
Yeah.
year, that would be awesome. But man,
Mm.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. We'll have to see it going forward, but if this
Yeah,
was a team that like if any team could lose their backup and go to the third string and be okay, I think it's the Niners. I
I
think
would
it's like
agree.
the most
I would agree with that.
like the most like all right, yeah, it's bad, but probably the least bad out of literally any other team in the NFL.
That is true. All right, Bengals Chiefs. Floor is yours. I had Bengals, you had Chiefs. Burrow is now 3-0 all time against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and having Chase back was definitely significant today. Not again. We knew this was going to be a close game. Did I take the loss in the pick? Yeah. I'm not going to completely.
No, he lost by 3
I'm
points.
not really. I don't even have any like knee jerk reactions. It's kind of like, yeah, it's just two really good teams.
I'll tell you this right now: if they play each other again in the playoffs, I'm probably taking Kansas City.
Right, like that's kind of the main takeaway. Is like the Bengals, they won the game, but it didn't show enough that like they're far and better than the Chiefs. Like it just solidified that, yeah, this is what I
would
knew.
be
The
interested to
Bengals,
know.
Chiefs, and Bills are going to be right up in there.
I would be interested to know let me know if you know this. What are Travis Kelce's numbers against the Bengals in those 3 games? Because he was non-existent today. And that's the first time he's been like that all year.
And yeah, I'd have to double back to confirm, but the Bengals actually, Von Bell and Jesse Bates, their 2 safeties, do a lot for this team in terms of not only playing the high safety positions, but both of them can roll down as linebackers. They can play some slot at times. I definitely think they gave Travis Kelce problems today, but I don't know, historically, those other 2 matchups, what it's done.
All right, I pulled up the divisional round, which ironic, or the AFC Championship, sorry, which ironically was 27-24, which I didn't know was the exact same. I knew it was 3 points,
weird,
but I know they've beaten them 3 times. This is like an ESPN stat, but I'm pretty sure Tony Romo said he was like the Bengals have now beaten the Chiefs 3 times in a row, and they've won by 3 points every single time.
Wow.
Which is ridiculous. But in the AFC Championship, Travis Kelce had 10 for 95 and a touchdown. So
okay. So yeah, that aspect.
But they held him to 24 points. So
yeah, and listen, I mean, what's Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, a bunch of little speedsters. It's hard to draw up a game plan that just neutralizes the team. Really is. But like you mentioned, you're like, yeah, I'd still take the Chiefs going in the playoffs. It's just the bottom line is we know who both these teams are. Great win for the Bengals, but personally, it doesn't change anything for me at all. I don't know if you have anything else that's different, but
so I pulled up the stats from when they played last year, and Jamar Chase went nuclear. Remember that? He had 266 yards. That day, I believe, it was pretty like week 15 or something like that. Travis Kelce had 5 catches for 25 yards. Did have a touchdown, but definitely limited.
Yeah, not explosive. Yeah.
Which is very, very interesting because Tyreek Hill was 6 for 40 that day too on 10 targets. So I guess the Bengals, the theme I'm getting here is the Chiefs, especially before Tyreek Hill left, but the Chiefs have always been this just explosion machine. And 34-31 was the score this time. The other 2 times were 27-24. I guess my takeaway is the Bengals defense is just doing a consistent job, it seems, of just limiting explosives.
They've been kind of just underrated since Burrow got there, in my opinion. Like when you see a team, it's last time the Bengals gave up like a 40 bomb to somebody since Burrow's been there.
Yeah, that's a good point. The other thing too is the Bengals. I believe I saw this stat. They are the best. The last like 6 weeks are the best rushing team in the league by far. Their offensive line is really rolling. Samaje Perine had another 100 yards rushing today. They don't even have Mixon, right? And so to rush for 100 yards without Mixon and then Burrow, he's Joe Cool. So, I took the pick. Just you guys can check the receipts. That's what I said. I also just took it because you picked the Chiefs. But yeah, man, this is becoming the AFC right now is. I could talk for hours about how entertaining the AFC playoff picture is right now. And it's really a tragedy that the NFC is not going to have somebody, I'm hoping for a good Super Bowl, obviously.
Anything similar, right?
Yeah, there's nothing, last year I think there was because you had Rodgers, Brady going still. You had a couple up and coming teams. and it was like, oh man, this could end up being pretty good. And then you had the Stafford storyline, the NFC felt like that could be really good, and then you had
Right.
the surprise Bengals, and now the Bengals are no longer a surprise, and they're still really freaking good after starting 0-2. If you recall, now they're now 8-4. So I'm excited for the AFC playoffs, man. Can't say much of the same for the NFC though, which is sad.
No, yeah, it's quite the travesty. And we'll see some NFC action, obviously tomorrow night. Cowboys should roll against Colts, but wow. I mean, in terms of just what happened today and going forward, a lot of teams are not only have kind of played themselves out, but that I would say 6 to even 5 to 10 slots for both conferences is getting dicey. And
I would
even some
agree.
of the division winners.
It's not as dicey as we thought it was, or not as solid as we thought it was when it comes to oh, the AFC
Going
is
in.
packed. I feel like some of the teams have really started to tail off.
For sure.
Same for the
For
NFC.
sure.
I could see somebody catching the Giants that we don't even know about. Even if it's the Packers or the Lions, could.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, man.
If
I
it
don't think the
happens,
Giants are
yeah,
good,
but
man.
man, even as a Packers fan,
I'm not even saying. I think the Lions have a better chance of doing it than the Packers.
Right. Yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
and
The rest of the line
Seattle's right
schedule
there.
too.
So there are some spots opening up. If a team can get to 9 wins, I think they can get in the NFC.
Very interesting. Yeah.
And it wouldn't be the Packers because they lost to both the Commanders and the Giants, so they're out no matter what. Their season's over.
9-8 for them is essentially an 8-9.
Yeah,
That's what a lot of people sometimes don't understand is those tiebreakers go a long way.
yeah.
No. Wow.
Yeah. So that brings us to our closing segment. Just a quick recap of Fantasy Frenzy going into Monday night, and it's over. So you got the win this week, but I do want to apologize. We messed up the numbers last week. We said I was 3-4, 4-3, and if you look at our Instagram, it's incorrect as well. Something was wrong in the spreadsheet, so my apologies. Going into the week, I was 3-5. You were 5-3, and I had 1,176 points, and you had 1,171. And then this week I'm at 130. I'm done with 137, which is actually a pretty solid week. And you have 150 and still have the Dallas defense. So unless they go for minus 13, it's over. And the difference was Christian Kirk, and he had a solid day at 16.4. But if I had taken Amon Ra, he was over 30. That would have put me above going into tonight. And we would have to see. But the big bust for
my
me,
receivers did.
I wasn't. When it comes to receivers, it really, I had AJ Brown, and then I outdid you by 14 points at the quarterback position. So it was closer in that sense. But the big difference was Justin Jefferson and Nick Chubb. Jefferson got that touchdown late to get to 18, and Chubb had 80 yards rushing, just didn't get anything else going in it, and just had 8 points. And then obviously, how do you take Travis Kelce first overall and only get 7 points out of it is beyond me. But
glad I dodged the bullet.
Yeah. He actually got outscored by Mark Andrews this week. So
Mark Andrews didn't do a whole lot though. What, 10?
Yeah, exactly. He had 9.4. So garbage is what I say. And then Derrick Henry goes for 5. How did I forget to mention that? That's ridiculous. That's pitiful, if you ask me. But other than that, I mean, 137 is a top 5 scoring week all time for us. So I might have to make a spreadsheet so we can start gathering stats like that. But
oh wow,
because who doesn't love ESPN stats for random sports contests or fantasy contests? Who doesn't love picking random stats? But yeah, you're gonna get the win. Eckler and Stevenson both had 13. Pretty bad, if you ask me, especially for Eckler. Stevenson had a really strong fourth quarter, if I recall, on Thursday night. But your big winner was Devontae, 37 points. Kind of tough to beat.
Yeah. They'll get done, and honestly, the running back's just not busting as in the Derrick Henry fashion. I mean, 13's not great, but I'll take it. My receivers are going to go for almost 40. So
Yeah. Yeah. And then Tyreek Hill caught that long touchdown too. That didn't matter. I think that got him to 30 or 29.6, but yeah, that was
Good
garbage.
man. Good man.
So um, that kind of concludes our episode. Uh, Looking at the score, it's 10-7 Indy at the end of the first quarter. So
We'll see if
maybe
that
maybe
holds.
the
Doubt
Colts
it
aren't
will.
done. Maybe the Colts
Yeah.
aren't done. But as always, make sure to check us out on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, the whole 9 yards.
Whole
We'll be
shebang.
back. We'll be back Tuesday with NBA Tuesday. As always, we're back on our normal schedule. Should be for the time being. Don't have another holiday for a couple weeks, but yeah. Any closing thoughts as we finish the first December um, Sunday
Mm,
reaction as we get
yeah.
really close to playoff season?
Right. Yeah. We'll probably have some new content for you guys in terms of segments. Playoff season coming up and whatnot. Definitely going to be incorporating some new things along with obviously our NBA. Once NFL drops off, we're not just going to go to one podcast. We're going to continue to push
Yeah.
content, focus more
I
on
do
the
have
NBA.
I do have a question for you actually before we wrap. Who's your
Sure. Yeah.
midseason or 3/4 season MVP?
NFL wise.
Yes.
Yeah, in terms of the NFL, I'm going to give it to Patrick Mahomes based on trajectory. I understand Allen's fallen off a bit. He's kept things solid, and
Oh, looks like he dropped out. So he took Patrick Mahomes. His phone must have died or something. But as always, guys, thanks for listening. My season MVP, I was going to make the case for Tyreek Hill. So we can talk more about that on Thursday. But as always, guys, thanks for listening. And be sure to spread the word. And we'll be back Tuesday with NBA Tuesday. So peace.